Greetings, adventurers. Greetings. Thank you so much for joining in on what is going to be an unusual angle, but 5 minutes of your time video. And I do apologize for the weird angle. It is currently 2:30 on a Saturday. It is November 2nd. To kind of give you an idea of what's going on. This is the day that me and Brainy went to Columbus, Georgia, or we're trying to go to Columbus, Georgia, to go on a little day trip together. She hadn't really rode in the past 6 to 9 months because the front tire on her bike has been bald, and we just haven't been able to dedicate the money to get it fixed. So she hasn't really rode in the past year, all of 2024. So I don't think she rode at all. So we went on a little day trip. We were supposed to ride out to Columbus, do some kind of loop, then come back. I don't really know the route or any destination other than we were headed towards Columbus, but there you are. And we got pulled over in a little town of Woodsboro, something to that nature. And that changed the full course of our day. I am now in her Armada. This is the second time I have driven this vehicle. I am not familiar with it. It is it is big. It has me very high off the ground, which I do like. I do like the angle. I do like how it feels. A little bit better than the Grand Cherokee, I think. So that's good. Whoa, buddy. Easy there. Like I said, it feels good. Handles good. But I'm on the way now to pick up Brainy because our CTX has been detained by the federales in Mexico. It's not always a good idea to ride in Mexico, guys. All right. But anyway, I figured this would be a great time to do a 5 minutes of your time video. And if I look anxious, it's because I am. I am driving a big vehicle that I'm not used to driving into Macon on I-16. If any of you truckers out there are familiar with I-16 coming in and out of Macon, you know what I'm talking about. Where it merges into 75. Yeah, shit sucks. Anyway, I figured it'd be a great time for a 5 minutes of your time video. And I'm going to call this one 5 minutes of your time Tasty Feet. I like the title. Sounds catchy. And I can quickly explain what I'm talking about here. Brainy Chameleon has a habit of putting her foot in her mouth. So she knows the full flavor of her foot. Knows what it tastes like in the morning. She knows what it tastes like at lunch. And she knows what it tastes like late afternoon to evening. Hell, she's even eaten her foot at night. She is very familiar with how it tastes and what it feels like in her mouth. So I'm going to describe a little bit what one of these situations she has walked herself into her face with a foot in her mouth. Toes a-suckling. That her own. Anyway, what had happened is she was on the phone with a professor. And she's going to kill me for saying all this, but she was on the phone with a professor, and they were describing how to handle certain classroom behaviors, what's the best way to teach certain groups versus other groups. And they were using a lot of higher education classroom lingo, and I was keeping up with most of it because, you know, I've been married to Brainy for over 10 years now, so I'm familiar with all the lingo. And I'm listening to this conversation, and she starts describing that we can no longer use the pull-out method, because the pull-out method doesn't work, or not as it's intended. So I look over at her, because I can't believe she has said that. Or is what they're saying what they really mean? I mean, do they know what they're saying? They've heard of that terminology, right? They know. So I'm looking over at Brainy, and her eyes are like saucers as she's looking at me. Hang on. Sponsorship, here we go. Whee! No, there's no sponsorship there, unfortunately. Anyway, she's looking at me mortified with what she has said to this professor. And I think it's absolutely hilarious. I'm trying my best not to laugh and bring more attention to it. And you can hear the pause on the other end of the phone. Not really sure with how to continue the conversation from that point. So that made it even better for me. I really enjoyed it. Oh, so she got to chew on her foot a little bit in that situation, but that's not as bad as other individual who will currently remain nameless for the sake of his embarrassment. This individual was very embarrassed about what he said, so I'm not going to call out his name or his YouTube channel as I tell you here what it was he said. I was describing to this individual different ways to be a good leader, or how to teach people things, or be an instructor, how to, like, I was going to be teaching this individual how to ride a motorcycle, the different approaches that you have to have with certain people. And I quite plainly said, look, you can't be nice all the time. You sometimes you have to be gruff, you have to be mean to get the point across, as some folks would say, being mean, or you have to be an asshole, right? Going to Moto's little audio clip there. But sometimes you have to be an asshole. And this individual is a very nice young man. He was raised very well. He is very respectful. It doesn't seem that he has much weirder, if you will, experiences in life. He hasn't been exposed to a lot of the things I've been exposed to, I've gone through, I've done, and some of the stuff I am okay with hearing and saying is nowhere near what he's okay with. He's not comfortable with it. And I'm telling him, look, I don't care. Sometimes you just got to be an asshole. I know you're not an asshole. You're a nice guy. But sometimes you just got to be an asshole. And he said, well, I understand. I know. I just need a little bit of your asshole. And I pause, because I know what this kid just said to me. But does he realize it yet? So I'm looking at him, and I cock my head slightly just to show him that I have understood what he just said, but I don't think that's what he meant to say. So I'm looking at him, and then his face turns red, like brake light red, guys. And he's like, whoa, no, wait, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean to say that. And guys, I can't help it. I look at him and kind of give him that little slant eye. I'm like, you want a little piece of my asshole? You want just a little bit of my asshole? Pretty boy? And I start flirting with him, because, he's the one that just said he wanted a little bit of, you know what I'm getting at? And I was having a ball with it. It was so hilarious to me. But this kid, poor guy, was just eating his foot because of it. And he kept referring to me and a former colleague. The former colleague has since passed. and is no longer with us. And he was like, y'all two would never let me live this down. And I said, you know what? You're right. And out of respect for the one that is passed, I'm going to make sure we don't let this go. I'm going to remind you every time you see me. And I'm even putting you on YouTube. So enjoy that, buddy. And he did beg. He begged. Once he realized there was no talking me out of posting the video, he asked me to please not mention his name. So I'm respecting you on that point and not mentioning your name here. No, I know this is a way out of a 5 minutes of your time video, but it's a 5 minutes of your time video, guys. Enjoy it as long as it may be. But while you're enjoying it, swipe over to a little bit on the side, and if you will, look up Forgotten Angels down in Florida. That's Tampa, Florida, or more precisely, Valrico, Florida. The Forgotten Angels, what they do, it's a charity organization that takes the young men and women who have aged up and through the foster care system in Florida and the abuse they have suffered within the foster care system. They take these young men and women and try their best to give them a shot at happiness, to give them a chance at a proper education, at being taught how to be adults, how to function, how to be happy. That's what David and Cindy teach these young men and women, and gives them a safe, secure place and a safety net to fall back into if they're starting to go through life and starting to grow and they slip. They're there to catch them and help them back up like real family members should. That's what they do. That's why they're worth you taking your time to look into them to see what they're about. Even though you may not want to take my word for it. If you don't, go down there and check them out for yourself. See what they do. You'll see exactly what all of us see, and why everyone in the community is sharing them as much as we can. But if you're not into that, and if you're in for a fur baby of the canine variety, please look up my friends in Bon Air, Macon, Warner Robins, Georgia. I've seen that bike before. I know that bike. Must have been a ride up here in Macon. I completely missed it because me and Brandon were on our own little ride. But look up Possum Southern Rescue. If you're in the mood to adopt a pup, they're the ones I recommend starting with. Or if you can't adopt long-term and want to foster short-term or something, look them up. They have pups for fostering all the time, all types, all sizes. Room, get it, boy. Big ones, little ones, old ones, sick ones, not so sick ones, all of them. And if you can't foster or adopt, donate, guys. Pay a vet bill, buy them some dog food, or buy a dog a bone. Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to keep driving this here car. I don't like driving, y'all know that. But I got to do it anyway. So I might as well enjoy it. Y'all take care.